Every person that we are here, everybody's different. In one way or another. And their history of poor is different too. Some of them are sick, some of them coming from prison, some of them coming from jail, some of them they are university students, college, Army, Navy, Air Force, all sorts of life.
I'm mentally ill. I have schizophrenia and bipolar, and I didn't know that. And if you'll know anyone who's sick and doesn't take meds, they don't want to admit that they have a problem or anything like that. So, you know, it's very hard for me. Got in trouble with the drugs and dropping out of school, and getting in trouble and having trouble holding a job. And I moved in with my parents, and I was living with them for a while, and it was hard because I had schizoaffective bipolar. Is getting worse as I got older is basically what happened. It started getting worse, and so me and my mom kept getting these huge fights. And so what she'd do is she would call, and I was still in my apartment. I was still living in my apartment, but my mom was paying for my rent, so I had to deal with them, and we'd get in these fights, and she would call Palo Verde. She'd have me, send me to the hospital. They call it getting petitioned. She would petition me to the hospital, so the cops would come to my house and take me to, Palo Verde, the mental hospital. I had, taken a job I was doing volunteer work at Carl Hayden Bee Research Center, doing bee lab stuff, working with the bees. And they were going to give me a job, at the USDA, but because, of my history, getting in trouble, that I had a record, they wouldn't give me that job, with the federal government. And then, I really got depressed and wasn't working, and, I was just playing video games and smoking weed all the time. So, my mom found out I was getting in trouble with my friend. We were doing some bad stuff, and so she kicked me out, and here I am, basically just hit the ground running, got a job. I just got my second raise in 2 months. I got a job like a week after my mom kicked me out. The boss just gave me another raise today, so I'm really enjoying my work.
Both parents were pretty abusive, and at about 12 I ran away from home because I didn't want to deal with the abuse no more. And after that, pretty much just went on my own. I've been involved with alcohol and drugs since about 8 years old, and I've been using for about 28 years. I've been in and out of the streets, on and off the streets, because pretty much everywhere I went, all I wanted to do was use. And there are really no places, would allow that. And the dope houses and, friends' houses and stuff like that, I pretty much got tired of staying there because I didn't want to deal with the stuff that went on there. But there I still was, out in the streets using. And I started coming to shelters about 23 years old. About 3 years ago was the last time I was here. I came into the doors and I was just tired. I was tired of living the way I was. So I went ahead, and when I left here, I went back to the dope house. And when I got to the dope house, the power was cut off. People were just living in an empty apartment that was dark, and all they wanted to do was just get high. And I wasn't good with that. So I walked into treatment. And after I walked into treatment, I went to a few places, residential treatments, and I finally got clean. I found a job as a metal roofer, and I've had that job now for 2 years. Just recently, the work got really slow, like it is right now, and I lost my place. So I figured, well, back to the streets I go. I can do 2 or 3 things. I can either go back to the streets, or I can go to a friend's, which really isn't good, or I can go to a shelter. Well, I've chosen to come here.
I think one of the things that we don't think about very often is making sure that we just acknowledge that there are people who are homeless. It's something as simple as making eye contact with someone on the street, giving them, they're just acknowledging that they exist and that they're human beings. That's a really big step, and it seems like such a small thing and it costs us nothing, but it's a big thing. So acknowledging that there are people who are on the streets, you don't have to give them money necessarily, but just acknowledge a presence. On a bigger level then, of course, what you can do is you can, vote in people who will support programs that support the homeless. You can use the voting booth as a way to do that. You can also private donations. Plenty of people volunteer, and as you see, our meal teams here are all volunteers, so people are giving of their time and their money and their efforts to support people who are on their way out of poverty.